All right, so we're gonna call over Aquila, see how she does. Aquila. Got back up, girl. Aquila. Nope, you missed it. You're on top of it. All right, so I'm gonna reset. I'm gonna have her come to the other side now, because that's a lost cause. We don't want to lose ground and train her. That's okay. So we're gonna reset. Aquila. 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 I'm going to take her back to the other side, and then you can come in. Well, I'll tell you when to come in. Aquila. Aquila. All right, you want to come over? Aquila. Well, she's definitely less impressed with the chow. She's eating the chow in the water, but on land, she's definitely less impressed. Aquila. Aquila. Go up there. Little tiny piece. Might be too small. There, she got it. Aquila. You want those? Not big enough? There you go. She's like, what is this crap?
It's good.
Yeah, she still likes them, but she doesn't love them.
She wants her meat.
Yeah. That's it. We're out of the meat right now. She seems more inclined to get them when they're in the water and they get wet. All right, Rachel, so what do you think of her?
She's freaking cool. She's Nile, right?
Yeah, she's a Nile.
Yeah. Now do they grow at a similar rate to gators? Age estimate on her?
Well, we know her age because she came from Gatorland and she was born in captivity, so she's 6 years old.
Okay.
She's 6 years old and she's 7'6". She is female. So as a Nile, she could get up to, I think the record Nile female is like 16 feet, which is insane. But it would make a lot more sense for her to get between 10 and 12. Yeah, she likes it a lot more in the water.
I've never seen, the only Nile I've worked with was, or been around was much older and larger. Happy and fat, and never moved that fast. So it was
She's
very
quick.
impressive to see her just,
Yep.
and her responses to you.
So
Wild.
you can see too that like she knows what to do. We've been doing the training, so like she knows what to do, but then you also see like, I mean, I am like very different, you know. People ask, you know, like, oh, you know, what's the difference between working with this and working on the alligators? And I'm like, so the gators do want to eat you at the end of the day. Like, they would like to eat me still, but she is really predatory. I mean, she is a Nile croc too. And like, I always like to make that distinction. You know, I know you already know, but anytime I talk about this, I really like to make the distinction. Like, she's a Nile crocodile. Nile crocodiles eat the most humans of any crocodilian species. They are absolutely no joke. They say around 300 humans a year get eaten by this species. And I really like to clarify this species because it's not just crocs are more aggressive than alligators, because you have American crocodiles here in Florida that have never killed a single human in the history of the state of Florida. So it's not just crocs are more aggressive. Depends what kind of crocodile you're talking about. And I don't like to paint crocs with that broad brush. They're all aggressive and then people are all afraid of them or vilify all crocodiles because of that, you know. But in her case though, like, yeah, she's so much faster and so much more predatory. So like, you really got to be careful and really got to be ready with her. But yeah, I don't know. You see like the behavior, and I can't really look at you to talk to you. I gotta.
Yeah, no, please don't.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to. No disrespect, but I'm not looking at you while I'm talking. You get those nuggets?
She, you know, judging off of partially your behavior, but her behavior too, she's so much more just quick and responsive and very alert. She's testy, you can see. In a good way, she's learning.
Yeah. She's very twitchy. There you go. Looks like she just lost this big tooth right here. Right there at the bottom. So that's got to be in here somewhere.
Why don't you go swimming for it?
Maybe if it was clear. I have swam with her.
How'd she do with you in the water?
It's scary. Well, she's just so fast. You know, she had her mouth cracked open at me underwater, and she'd let me touch her a little bit and handle her a little bit, but then she'd crack her mouth at me, and I'm like, okay, I'll take the warning. You know, it's pretty sketchy swimming with her.
So question with training her, is this something where you would feel, are you trying to work with her both inland and, or on land and in water? Or
Yeah.
do you try to keep her in water? What's your
Okay.
process behind all of that? You know, like what's most safe? What boundaries are you trying to establish with her? And
So, well, yeah.
what's your thought process essentially?
So right now what we're working on is stationing at the edge of the water, you know, and then also basically targeting onto the stick, you know, knowing to stay right there, and we work right here. I'm not having her come out of the water at all yet. Now, if she's calm and if I feel like that's going to be something that we can do and we can work on, then, you know, maybe we will come out of the water with her. But I'm not going to do that until I feel comfortable with that, because I don't want her to chase. You know, and that's why, like, when she came out earlier, at first she came out and she was up to here, and I'm like, nope, reset, go to the other side.
Yeah.
We're not going to reward that behavior. We're not going to teach her to come out of the water. I want her to think this is the only place that I get food right now. We don't want to teach her to chase. Or does that make sense?
Yep.
Now, eventually, yeah, that would be cool to do. What I've done with alligators in the past is have them learn to station on the edge, and then also have them learn as a completely separate behavior to come over to a specific spot and then do jumping. And I've been able to train alligators to know both behaviors and do both, and have them be distinct from one another, so they don't come out when they're on the edge. They don't move and advance forward from the stationing spot here, and then when I go to the specific spot for jumps, they're like, oh, okay, cool, we're doing the jumperoo, you know, and then we'll come over and then they'll do the jump there, but they don't try to do it over here. So I would like to try to do that with her. That'd be really cool to do eventually, you know, but we've only had her the same amount of time, 2 months. So I feel like this is pretty good for 2 months with a Nile.
Very good. Very good.
Big Mac. There you go. Big Mac. No.
I've never seen it in life before.
So I'm gonna move Bella back into the water. And so using the stick, everybody is always asking what's the stick for. Well, a really good one is just blocking, knowing how to properly block and angle on them. But also for me to be able to move her. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna touch her on their natural territorial points right here at the neck. And I just annoy her, like literally. Look at how much force I'm using, like hardly anything. You just gotta know the points. And then back here, same thing. So just right at the neck right there. And see, that doesn't hurt her at all. I mean, I'm literally like, it's just that much force. You know, so just barely touching and knowing the proper points to manipulate the animal. Big Mac. There you go. Good boy.
And she's coming back.
Yeah, well, she's got to learn. Bella. Big Mac. There we go. Bella. Oh. Look, she thinks she still got it. Bella.
She's so funny.
How long have you guys had Bella?
Not even 2 months.
Yeah, both of them are 2 months out of the wild. Big Mac.
Big Mac's rocking.
We got Bella before Big Mac. Bella was our first gator here.
Bella. Big Mac. Bella. Bella. So he's not actually trying to hurt her, he's trying to push her away. So if he wanted to, he could have just ripped her arm right off. If he like actually wanted to do that. He doesn't want to do that, he just wants to push her out of the way, so he'll just come over and be like, get away, this is my feed wagon. Bella.
He is kind of a bully, but he is very gentle when he does it. So like he'll grab her face, but it's gentle. You know, he's just telling her
Big Mac.
to go away. Obviously we
Big Mac.
try to prevent that, but
It's gator communication.
Big Mac.
exactly.
Big Mac. There you go. Bella. Big Mac. Bella. All right, so what do you think so far? What's your thoughts, insight?
No, this is great. I think I have more questions for you than anything. It's just
Yeah.
you know, learning the gator behavior, because you know gators immensely more than me. I think. So first question: do you always keep them in the water when you're feeding them?
No, he's got a broken back leg, so we're not trying to encourage him to get on land and hurt that. And so, like, if they're already on land, we'll do the training on land. But we're not trying to. Well, if I encourage her to come out, she will, and then he's going to want to follow. And we don't want him to follow and like bang up his busted leg. So that's why. The other thing too is just behaviorally. Starting out, it's always better to train them on the side anyways, because they feel much more comfortable with their body in the water than being fully on land.
Makes sense.
Fully on land, they're a lot more disadvantaged, and they feel often a lot more defensive towards you too.
Right.
So you want them more comfortable in the water like that. Also, a lot of times I just go in the water with them, and that's really fun and interesting.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I was gonna say
Bella.
it makes a lot of sense to keep them in the water too, because it's a,
Big Mac.
you know, perceived barrier as well, for a safety thing. But again, that's coming from like a sea lion perspective, so I don't know.
Bella.
Why do you I don't want to do it in front of them, but the arm up, is that what does that, you know, it looks like they're responding to that. Is that a
Right.
trained thing? Is that an instinctual thing?
So basically they have a very small blind spot right in the front.
Mm-hmm.
So they can't see anything right here, and that's why I'll flare up. And so that's going to get them to naturally raise their head, and then I'm associating that with the name. Stop it. Stop. She's trying to push her out of the way. That way, eventually, I'll be able to just say the name, and she's going to lift her head.
Perfect.
So that's why I go, Bella. And then
Well,
eventually,
like
I'll go...
Big Mac is already starting to pair it a little bit.
Yeah, and then eventually I'll just be able to say the name, and she'll pop her head up and be like, where's the food, you know?
Perfect.
Big Mac.
Have you ever worked with creating a like specific station for them before?
Yes. Oh, yeah, yeah. Not these ones, yes, but in the past, yeah, absolutely.
Is that something you like to do? Like, do you like it? Don't like it?
Yeah.
Curiosity?
It can be difficult with them, you know, because they like to obviously just kind of follow you. Big Mac. But yeah, it is something I have done in the past, and I've got some plans on things I want to do in the future with them that I'll tell you off camera, because I don't want anybody stealing my idea.
Okay.
We got some cool plans that we're going to do on that.
Cool.
Bella.
I know, this is great. I mean, the thought that 2 months ago these guys were out in the wild Florida, and now looking at this is phenomenal.
It's pretty crazy, right?
Yeah, you should be proud of it.
Bella.
Hopefully your mic is not soaked and people can hear what we're saying here.
So some cool things when you're doing training like this, there is jealousy. Alligators do feel jealousy. And so if I sit here and I ignore her and I just feed him the whole time, she'll start crying. So you know what baby gators cry? So baby gators cry. Ow, ow, high pitch, right?
Yeah.
Adults. Ow, ow. Yeah, so they'll start crying.
Really?
Bella. Yep, so they absolutely. Big Mac. Oh, my bad, bro. Bad, bro. Big Mac. But yeah, so they definitely do recognize that. They recognize if you're not being fair, if you're just feeding one the whole time and ignoring the other one, that they'll start crying and they'll start be like, feed me, meh, and doing the adult version of that baby cry.
It's funny how many adult animals cry, just like human adults.
Bella. Big man. So you can see too, she's very motivated, and she also hits hard almost every time. Big Mac has definitely learned, like, I don't have to do that, you know? This isn't alive. So, like, he knows that. Bella. Big Mac. Oh,
That was a horrible throw on your end. Oh, he got it.
Right through.
He got it. He got it.
It went right through. Bella. I don't know, what other thoughts do you have?
I'm really learning a lot here. I think the only thing I'm really noticing is that every time you feed Bella, Big Mac's anticipating food. So my next question is going to be a you hear me talking. Curiosity of if you ever do intermittent reinforcement patterns, so managing the crying, but like 2 to Big Mac, 1 to Bella, 3 to Big Mac, 4 to Bella, and kind of going back and forth to try to decrease that anticipatory behavior, because Big Mac knows what's going on.
Yeah, so they don't track that well. We could do 4 to her. He'll start to notice probably around that, you know, but if we do like, I mean, we could do a little experiment right now and just do it. Bella. Bella.
He's inching closer.
Bella. See, now he's starting to be like,
Yeah.
hey, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Bella. I don't think I've heard him cry though. I don't think he will. Big man. She does.
Yeah, princess.
Her face looks really good.
Yeah, so this is all rubbed from learning concrete
Concrete.
exists, you know, so like obviously concrete's a new thing to them, and so they have to learn, you know. No.
It's also not ideal. We've talked about it before. But here we have to. You know, it's sand. It wouldn't hold water.
Right.
So he's getting a little pushy.
He is getting pushy.
Bella.
Has he been known to get pushy before?
Oh, no, he's really good usually.
He's so handsome. Look how big he is.
Oh, he's a big boy. Big man. You see, this is where he got hit by the car.
Mm-hmm.
So that all healed up. This whole piece was a piece of bone that he actually popped off. Did you just stand up?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what that was. That hiss? Because you just stood up. Bella.
Big Mac's not afraid of us. She's still like a little, like she wants food. So when gators are first learning, it's funny. They'll come up to you like they want food, but then they'll hiss at you when they get too close. So they'll come up to you and then hiss.
Just about at the end of the food. So. Big Mac. All right, that's it. And it's starting to rain heavier and heavier, so good time to call it. So she was also just asking more about like, why am I training on the edge, you know, and why not on land more and things like that. It's also for maintenance too. I want to be able to go in there and walk around and not have her expect food the whole time. Mm-hmm. So I, you know, like I got to go in there and clean and do maintenance and remove branches and whatever. And like, I don't want her following me expecting food the whole time. So I want her to know food is right there. And then eventually we're going to do, like I was saying, on land food somewhere else, but only in that specific spot. So that we're not doing like this whole chase behavior or like, are you going to feed me now? Or are you going to feed me now? You know, like I want...
So like sessions will start and end in the pool. If you choose to take her out of it, that's under that control.
Yeah, so like when I did that previous with gators, they all station on the edge, and then I go to a specific spot, and then I call them, and then they would come out, and we do a jump here, you know, and that's a separate behavior, and they understand that. Perfect. You know, but yeah, I definitely want to, for now, only get fed right here on the edge. That's it. And that way when I'm in there, well, with her, I'm always careful, you know, always like expecting unexpected, but for the most part, I only expect that kind of behavior on the edge over there, you know, not to have her just come barreling out of nowhere after me, you know.
Perfect. Good training.
They're so cute. I like how the greens all hang out and the blues all hang out. It's so funny.
All right, so now we're gonna feed the foxes, but we have Rachel here. And so she's the one that came up with the whole training plan and everything for the foxes. So she came back to see how they're doing and whatnot. So basically, I'm gonna go in and feed them how I normally do, and then she's gonna tell me everything I'm doing wrong.
Yes, she's gonna rip you apart.
We're gonna find out ways to make it better. Find next steps.
So, yay. Okay. Hazel. 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 Good. Hazel. Good. Hazel. Good. Good. Hazel. Good. Hazel. Hazel. Good. There you go. All right, so.
Sweet. Perfect. I love it.
Do you have
so much progress.
Any criticism before we start with these guys, or do you want to see him with these guys too?
Yeah, no, actually, I think I've seen a lot of progress from the last time I was here, so I've seen everything that I want. So I want to see how we're doing on these guys so I can try to keep you guys moving the same pace with both of them, just for ease of human learning and fox learning together. So everything's going really good. So let's check out these guys.
You gotta give Kira her little treat first, though. That's what.
He did good. He was watching her.
Okay.
We can talk about it after he's done.
That's cute. Yeah, so yesterday, Hazel ran over after I walked out, and just pooped right inside of Shippo's bowl. So Jeremiah's gonna be up there fixing that thing.
Our poor roof.
Yeah,
He's a little lighter than I am, so might be a little better if he's up there. But yeah, so what'd you think of the foxes?
It went really, really good. So just a little bit of a recap for all of us. Handful of weeks ago, we started a training program with them. There's 2 and 2. And the first thing we wanted to establish was a trusting, healthy relationship with you and the foxes, right? And so one way to do that is setting them up for success socially, which I think we've seen improvement on, because it was very clear when you walked in that they had an understanding of the dominant and non-dominant foxes, where they're going to be eating, how that food was going to be delivered. And I think what that does is bring down a lot of that anticipation, right? When I had walked in a few weeks ago, there was anticipation of who's going to, I was new, but where they're going to get fed, who's going to feed me, and watching them go to that stationing was really, really good. With this set, really, really good job, Chris, on reading their behavior, and you saw that the less dominant fox was ready to eat before you had given the piece to Kira. And so really good job on letting her eat and letting Kira get in position. That's really good stuff we're looking for. Gabby did point out, usually we do feed the more dominant one first, which is typically what you want to make sure happens, but good job reading them and adjusting when necessary. So I think they've been really, really good with that, especially the dominant foxes, Kira and Hazel. So I was able to see with Chris, they knew what to expect. Chris is not only introducing them to their name by saying the name beforehand, but also a bridge. Good. You were doing that really well, so they know what to expect with that. So 10 out of 10, I would say.
Thank you.
Perfect. High five. Hey. Moving forward, a couple things I think we should address moving forward. So we have them hand feeding, trusting you guys, which is most important, especially given their history with the fur farm. And now moving forward, I think it's going to be important to address a couple other things. First and foremost, we always want them to be trusting in us that we are setting them up for success socially, right? So when we were looking at, after you left, Hazel was misplacing Shippo, thank you. Shippo and Yue, I know.
But sometimes he gets hurt too.
She was misplacing Shippo for his bowl, and so there's, she had finished her bowl. She knows exactly where his bowl is placed, and she went to go find it. So I think one thing that we could potentially do is, whichever way you guys feel more comfortable with, either A, putting just the meat in a bowl, because you guys have meat and veggie fruit mix, right?
Yeah.
So I would do just the meat in a bowl, still do hand feeding with Hazel, and let Shippo eat from the bowl, and then do a forage feed for the fruits and veggies, so it's not one localized place. That's something that A, is not only exhibiting that natural behavior. Foxes are foragers, so they're naturally going to go find fruits, nuts, berries, anything to forage on, but it also enables, or it does not promote them guarding a bowl. right? So maybe Hazel might go over and see Shippo's meat bowl, but once it's empty, there's no loss, no gain, and that will at some point extinguish itself. And then it enables that positive feeding of them together throughout. So hand feed the meat, other one gets a meat bowl, and then at the end have like a third bowl of veggies.
Toss it all out, yeah. Okay.
So do we take the bowl out then too, right? Like after we feed them, we just take the bowl with us, so there's no bowls in there.
There's so much peeing and pooping into the bowls.
They're marking what's theirs. Yeah, why not?
An excessive amount.
Yeah, I would.
Basically every single time in the morning I come to pick up the bowls, there's definitely pee in them.
Well, when we first got Hazel, she was peeing in everybody's water dishes, like because we have one water bowl, so
and on the food.
She wouldn't let anyone else drink.
In the water they drink, on the food, just pee on everything.
It's a fox territorial thing. So yeah, it'll be less cleaning for you, less poo collection. And it'll definitely be a way to help them promote that positive social interaction by foraging together.
Speaking of pooping.
Yeah, she's putting on a show.
Yeah.
So, I'd bring a bowl of meat for each of them. Use the one bowl to hand feed. Let Shippo eat while Hazel's getting hand fed. And then at the end, just take the veggie bowl and just toss it wherever it is.
I was going to say, I'm not even sure which one of them is really dominant at this point.
Okay.
Because sometimes he steals her food, and then sometimes she steals his food,
Okay.
and they go at it, and it's not really clear who's in charge anymore.
All right, that's interesting to know.
I don't know. I mean, I'm with him every day, and I'm telling you, it's not even obvious, because yeah, they both sometimes win, sometimes lose.
But it's also just over food. Other than that, they're not possessive over spaces or anything. Like, they'll cuddle together. It's just when we're feeding.
Well, Hazel's obviously just way smarter. And, I mean, Shippo's just a lot bigger, though. So, sometimes, he wins those little battles just out of size. But then Hazel also wins just by screaming at him and then running around and, stealing. So.
Okay, yeah. Let's give that a try. Keep me updated on how it goes. But one thing that... when we think of training, we think of the immediate interaction of us and that animal, right? Because that's what our direct involvement is in it. But training sometimes is what we're doing and reinforcing their brain to do when we're not around. And so by utilizing scent, especially for Shippo, considering he's not the best with his eyesight, correct me if I'm wrong on that.
That's correct.
But enabling them to use their sense of smell, which actually burns a lot of calories in their brain, is going to help them bring some of that energy down. Going to promote that natural foraging behavior, and it's going to keep them occupied for a lot longer in the day than just the 5 minutes we're in there with them. And so sometimes that'll also help with bringing that anxiety down around food, because the food isn't only present when you walk in. The food's also existing for 30 minutes to an hour after you leave when they're trying to find it all. Biggest thing to monitor though is just that their weight, and make sure that Hazel's not getting it all over an advantage, or Shippo if the dominant switches. So with them, I think that would be, actually both sets, I think that would be something interesting to try if you feel like UA has the ability to see the food good enough. I'm a huge big proponent of trying to increase those natural foraging abilities within any animal that will do it.
Well, speaking of, what about how they bury their food? Because Shippo likes to bury, and then Hazel just steals it. He's like, I'm going to save this for later, and she's like, no, you're not.
Couple ways you could do it. That's a natural behavior in foxes, so will it ever be eliminated? Probably not. Biggest thing would be just to monitor their weight. Are they still acting okay?
Yeah.
Does it make, if Hazel's taking a lot of Shippo's food, is Shippo's aggression heightening during any feedings or anything like that, which would potentially mean that she's getting more. Is she getting chunky? Is Shippo getting thin? So you guys know that. I don't need to explain that basic animal management. But on top of that, break it down into 2 days or 2 feeds a day, especially with the forage feeding. Come out here in the morning. That's another great way too. If you do see a lot of that aggression around the meat time, it's exciting. It's like kids and ice cream, right? If you feed them a plate of veggies, they'll eat it if they're hungry. But when the ice cream comes out, game over. Same thing with these guys. So you could, in the morning if you have time, or even later in the evening if you have time, spread out their feeding so they don't have as much time to think about that exact feeding time. And that way too, if let's say Hazel gets a lot of the hidden items, it'll give Shippo some time to digest it and come back to it later, or eat bigger chunks later.
Look how good they're doing now. Like, Kira's not trying to steal her food or anything.
That is really good.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be what I would suggest with these sets. With this set over here, I think everything I saw was perfect. So a couple things we could talk about, whatever works best for you guys is, and it could be dependent on different days, you can switch it up differently. With these guys, I think that the foraging thing is never a bad idea. Heck, I do that with my dogs at home, and even with some of their, you know, I have Pomeranians, so they bark a lot at everything that they feel like they can have little man syndrome too. A lot of the barking external to training sessions has simmered down since I've started some forage feeding and things like that, because again, it's giving them that outlet during the day to use their mind, and honestly, it makes less work for us, but it makes more work for them and gives them something to do. I know personally, if I'm sitting around for a long time with nothing to do, my mind is, you know, I'm gonna get itchy to do something, think about something, have a problem to solve. Same thing with any other critically thinking animal. So if you have days that you want to forage with them, great. If you have days that you want to maintain this setup, an even better if and next step I think would be, especially if we're working towards having them comfortable with tactile and more movements of our own, I think next step for Kira, right? Yes, Kira, would be to move her around when you're hand feeding her. So still call her, so say, you know, Kira, and then hand feed and bridge, good when she takes it, but we want her to be comfortable with any and all movements that you may make. So start small. I loved her head popping out of the log. That's adorable and precious, and honestly,
I did that on purpose.
Yeah.
it's really the best, like, DRI, DRO type behavior, so she can't aggress. But, you know, just kind of stand up, move around, and maybe move to the other side of the log so you're not bringing her towards you, but she's getting comfortable with your behaviors. Because long term, we want her to be, you know, if we're reaching her or petting her, any movement that we have, we want her to be safe, comfortable for, and the best way is to pair it with that trusting food. So kind of start just walking her around. I would probably focus on the area that Yue's in right now. So opposite to where you're feeding Yue, back over there by that log, and just get her, you can do the same thing with Hazel, even when you're feeding Hazel and Shippo's having his meat, but get the dominant ones used to you walking around. I say dominant, knowing that Shippo's potentially sliding
it's
for
interesting.
the thing. But focusing on these guys right now, because she definitely still has that drive for the food. You know, we want them to be okay with those movements. So I would say getting them desensitized through that active feeding, walking around with that, and continuing with the bridge. One, even better if this is going to be a really picky animal trainer thing, so you're not doing it wrong, but I want to say it just so I can say I said it. When we're saying the word good, really when we're prolonging it, because we think of the word good in the meaning that it has as a human, right? The whole word good. The shorter that we can make that good, it's going to actually change the way that their brain interprets it, and the faster that we can make it, the better. So when we're doing more complex behaviors, the tighter that we can get that, it actually reads completely different in their brain. Because really what they're focusing on is the g, so the more that you can get that good in like one thing, and
that makes sense.
And I'll be the first to admit I'm horrible at verbal bridging, so that's why I use a whistle, because I'm so bad at verbal bridging, because I talk all the time, so it's a human trait. But tightening that up and then getting them used to those movements. Last thing I thought of is if you guys do have days where both of you are capable to come out and feed, you can start, like if you want to stay on the two that you're on, if Gabby wants to start hand feeding the others, or switch around and vice versa. I think that they're doing really well with maintaining in those spots while you're in there, so now would be a really good time to add that second person.
Okay.
Cool.
For days at work.
Yeah.
How does that sound?
That sounds good.
Questions for me?
I'll try to think of some.
And now run, Chris, run.
Real dude.
Nope, I don't have it. No, sir. Daddy has it.
There you go. Yeah, so with him, I just give him the food and back away. Because he's been getting a little crazy. He the other day he was holding his food so cute and eating with his little hands, but the bowl was blocking him, and I wanted to get it on video. So I tried to gently move the bowl, and he just full on like ran at me and was like.
But he, but he's like touching the bowl. Like here, he's not gonna do anything. But if you touch his bowl or he thinks you're taking something, he gets a little upset. What is he eating? I can't tell. Oh, the melon.
Yeah.
He's eating It's a melon. Yeah. So
No, he's agitated.
Yeah, he's fluffy.
Yeah. But he's pretty cool. So have you worked with him a lot?
Yep, so I used to work with 3 Africans. I've worked with 3 different ones. Really the biggest thing that we did with them was we had them harness trained, and so a lot of it would come with working on desensing them around food. We did start them on a foraging program similar to the foxes, gives them something to do, and it's not as much of a, this bowl is my only opportunity to get the food. So the more that we foraged it around, we did see a little bit of a decrease in that. With them though, because their porcupine eyesight is not the best thing that we did was we would shuffle. And so when you like shuffle like this, they
Look at him. Look at him.
No.
he knows someone's behind him, right?
Yeah.
And so if you're like you're in your position, Chris, what we would do is we would shuffle and then drop a couple pieces of food right next to that noise. And what it would do is it would teach that follow behavior. It was giving them the indicator of where your next reinforcer would be, because they don't have the best eyesight to see. So when you're, you know, a lot of that foraging is them happenstancing across food. But if you do that little shuffle, they can feel those vibrations and hear them very, very well. And then we would just do that in circles, and then
show camera on him and shuffle again.
Ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
Oh, immediate.
So they're very perceptive to that. And
Look
so
at that.
that's definitely something that, you know, what I would, if you are interested in kind of teaching him a follow behavior with that, I would start with foraging, so he's more used to finding food external to the bowl. He's used to finding it in the ground area, and then do a little shuffle, feed when he comes near it. But unlike what I'm doing right now, you would always want to be in front of him because I'm in the danger zone. So you always want him coming to you, and that way it's kind of like you would teach a dog to walk at your side. You would teach a porcupine to walk at your side.
So he's supposed to know how to walk on the, it's in his paperwork. I think it's the right side. So it wasn't a legit harness, but he used to do the shows at Jungle Island. So they would just put like a little slip lead around his neck, and he would walk to one side. And then if you get down on a knee, he'll like step up on your knee. So,
Perfect.
yeah, but he's retired, so obviously he's not doing shows or anything like that, but yeah, just anything to make his life better and more interesting, you know.
Yeah. It's a little bit of a hidden safety behavior too, because let's say you are ever in here and for some reason he does get aggressive, if he's used to lining up on your right side on cue, then that's something that you can kind of use to put him like, oh no, it's okay, this noise is okay, we're just lining up on cue. So that way you're always in front of that danger zone if something does spook him.
I was impressed earlier. He was in his tube and I was at the foxes and he could see me. So I was like,
really?
Yeah, I didn't think he could see that far.
Better than the porcupines I worked with, so that's actually really cool.
Yeah, I was wondering that because I was pretty sure he couldn't see that far. And
What's
like
he eating?
I walked by, as soon as I saw him, mohawk went up, you know, and I was like, oh, he sees me. Like,
What is he eating?
looks like sweet potato. Yeah.
He has beets today, parsnips, carrot, kale, a little bit of melon. Ooh. Well, it's also been, you know, the thunder, and I don't think he likes the thunder very much. Oh, little dude, you look terrifying.
Yeah, that is not something I want running into me. But look at that quill. That's a big one.
Yeah, it is.
It's one of the more sensory ones on the outside.
He's pretty good though. He's pretty gentle. He loves people. It's just around food, you know. But that's also why we made him his lockout, so we can always feed him in his lockout and do cage management and stuff, cleaning.
Little dude's living the life.
He's enjoying retirement.
Oh, these piggies. Look at these pigs. Daisy's sitting so good, Daisy. Sit, Tony. Sit, Julie. Oh, there you go. What are you doing? Sit, Daisy. Sit, Julie. Petunia. Oh, look at all this hair coming out, Petunia. What? You are not one of the pigs. You need to be over there with your goats. Get here. Sit. Sit, Julie. Kit Kat. Oh, look at Daisy. That's a big, solid pig. And you are a solid, compact little pig. Easy, easy. Goodness gracious. Here's our little piggies. Hi, babies. You got food all up in your hair. You got food all over your head. It's from when I go to throw the food down, and this one, Amy Swinehouse, always runs up underneath the food. This is Wilbur. All right, Kawatis. There we go. Alright, so while they're eating, we'll go ahead and clean and feed. Hi guys, here's your food. These are the Patagonian Mara. That's Timothy and Topanga. You went through a spider web. You see the leaf in his ear, and there's some spider webs across his ears too. Why are you such a little jerk, huh? Poor Topanga. You can hear Hazel in the background screaming. Hi, Olaf. Hi. That blank stare. Hi, Chloe. Oh, hi, Chloe. Oh, Cupie. Oh, this boy Cupie. Come here. Have some food. Petrie. Oh, you missed Petrie. 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 There you go. Petrie. Doesn't. Good boy. Sassy. 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 Hey, wait, Sassy. Jelly bean. There you go. Good boy, Jelly Bean. Oh, some dragon fruit. He's got dragon fruit and blueberries and apple and cantaloupe. He loves dragon fruit. Good boy, Bean. Prairie dog time. Hi, guys. So I just came in and collapsed one of them. But, yeah, that big, huge storm we had yesterday looks like they filled in on their own. They filled in all these burrows that were over here. So those were all burrows. Now there's only 3 open ones. And over there, oh, there's Cheeky. But, yeah, so I guess they collapsed in their own tunnels after the storm probably got some spots wet. Where you going, Cheeky? Now we're in the small parrot aviary. Oh my god, look at this cockatiel just beating up all the little budgies. Well, that is why we have multiple food bowls. Here's a wild armadillo. That's a 9-banded armadillo. Just over there, rooting around. Come on, Chunk Skunk. Oh, there you go. Good girl. She loves those worms. So it's raining, so Jet is in his house. You wanna come out? We got food. Which is crazy because he has a roof. So he doesn't even get rained on really, but he does not like the rain. Look, do you want this? Oh yeah. Wait here, I'm gonna leave it out here. You gotta come out to get it though. Yeah, I know you want to come out. Nope. Well, he'll probably come out after it gets full dark and eat all of his food, so we'll just leave him. So we're gonna try giving Olaf his meds outside today. You take your medicine? You take your medicine? A cracker? You take your medicine? Or do I have to bring you inside? Maybe. A cracker? That's good. You like it. Oh, there's a good boy. There's a good boy, Olaf. Good boy, take your medicine. So if you haven't seen Olaf before, we usually bring him at night to do the meds, just because it's easier. And then in the morning, you know, we give him, he's got 4 kinds of meds to take in the morning and then 1 at night. So these are all cardiac medicines. So he's 34 years old and has all kinds of cardiac issues, so we have to give him all kinds of medicine. Oh, what are you doing? What you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing, Chloe? What are you doing, Chloe? You trying to steal? Oh, you trying to steal? Well, all right, guys. Say bye-bye.